And when you feel love and gratitude, sick DNA actually rewinds and becomes healthy again.
The ancients are very clear about this in the Sanskrit text. They tell us that the thought is the image of the quantum possibility. So in other words, in the realm of all possibilities, everything already exists. My friend's perfect relationship and the worst one he'll ever have. The lightest of the light, the darkest of the dark. Our greatest healing and our greatest suffering, they're already there. And what they invite us to do in these ancient traditions is to reach into those possibilities with our mind. This is the power of the mind. In isolate, we lock in one of those possibilities. So now we have taken it and identified it. However, to bring it into this world, to breathe life into that possibility is the power of human emotion. Our love for that possibility, or our fear of that possibility, either one will work. To bring that quantum possibility into the particle reality of our everyday lives. We don't have to know that. It sounds very technical. We just have a feeling. But this is the science of, appears to be the science of how these things are working. So this is why our self-esteem is so important.
When these planetary changes are happening, that's like the temperature's going up. And you're actually seeing it as a physical temperature increase, not just on the Earth, but through the whole solar system, okay? However, when we meditate, we're basically taking that raw energy that's turning into heat, which makes people angry. They get heated up. They get hot under the collar. They get red. They see red. All these colors and all these temperatures associated with what's actually an energetic frequency, right? When you meditate, when you chill out, when you play it cool, all these other metaphors of cooling it down, chill out, you're actually processing other people's energy. You're processing other people's karma. You do your own work, and you take some of the burden off of everyone else. So we're actually healing the earth, we're healing each other, and it has a direct radiant effect on the universe around us. And that is the most powerful thing. That's a good incentive to make contact with your higher self.
Absolutely.
Because I do believe that if you can allow yourself to move with the organic flow of what your emotions are telling you, you're getting more and more experiences. Trust your guidance, trust your intuition, trust your gut feeling. Because the gut feeling won't let you down.
I do believe there's a reason for everything, and we have to actually ride this out, weather the storm, and understand there is a horizon on the other side. But unfortunately, humanity has picked this experience. It appears that way on every single level, and that we're in this cycle. To get through this cycle, this new world order, we actually have to have that belief that we're going to make it through. Once you let the hope get sucked from you, that is the beginning of the end for you on the individual level. You have the things that are happening globally, that we could see globally and look at and map out and chart. But you, an individual, the observer, is a completely different thing.
But we can't succumb to the fear-mongering tactics that are being tossed around, you know, because we can succumb to fear and close up, but really what needs to happen so that we can create a good reality is to open up to the real possibilities. In other words, to open up and be guided by what we might call higher principles or a higher vision, you know, of the future. You know, so instead of being consumed with reacting in fear or combating all the crap that the controllers are trying to throw at us, somehow we need to transcend that and open up our minds to the highest possible future and then create that together.
Now, at the same time, there is another parameter that is unfolding within our experience right now, and it is simply called base resonant frequency. It's a fundamental vibration. It's a fundamental heartbeat of the Earth. Every time the Earth pulses, every 1 second of our experience, when the Earth pulses electromagnetically, that pulse traditionally, historically, has been a certain number of beats per second, or cycles per second, or hertz, as the term is called. Traditionally, that number has been about 7.8. This number was first measured directly back in 1899 and 1900. And all the way through the early part of this century, through the 20s and the 30s, throughout World War I, World War II, all up in the 1950s, as late as the early 1980s, this number held constant, approximately 7.8 cycles per second. Well, we believed up until recently that this number, 7.8, was a constant, that every second that we experience, that Earth pulses a certain number of times. Well, something interesting began to happen in the, again, in the mid to late 1980s. What we see is this. There's 7.0, here's 8, 7.8, all the way through 1970s, 1980. In the mid to late 1980s, 86, 87, right around in there, that number began to increase mysteriously. And it went from 7.8 to 8 to 8.23 to 8.6. At the end of 1995, the number was validated at 8.6 cycles per second. In just a few years, it had been a constant throughout the time that we had been measuring this parameter. Now, in early 1996, researchers are reporting numbers as high as 9 cycles per second.
The highest solar flare activity in the history of the Earth will occur in 2010.
Our heart is creating electrical and magnetic waves that are influencing the world around us based on what we think and the emotion that we breathe into those thoughts to create the feeling.
Now this is where it starts getting very, very strange, okay? If you haven't already been blown away, this is where it should start to change your consciousness. The interior of the pineal gland, all along the inside, has rods and cones just like the retina on your eye. Do you think that maybe when they called it a third eye, that they knew what they were talking about? Do you think that an eye must have a cornea and a lens and all this vitreous fluid in it like we have? The fluid is there. There are little molecules inside this water called microclusters. And those molecules can flip over, and that's the gateway that allows you to see into time-space. So darkness activates electromagnetic activity. It feels like a pressure, a buzz, or a tone or acceleration inside your head. Has anybody here not had that experience? Okay, no hands have gone up. When you'll hear sometimes it's almost like there's a gong, or you feel like a pressure in your head. Now some people just call that Kundalini activation. But what's actually happening is that sometimes spontaneously, even during the day, your pineal gland just kicks up. It's like a car engine, and it suddenly gets going, and you feel this sort of explosive energy shooting up into your head. This is actually this mechanism, this machinery of electromagnetic charge, zooming around, doing all these different things to shield off the water inside to give you access. So if that ever happens, if you get that tone in your ears, just try to tune into the meditative state and get really clear and figure out what's the message of that moment. A lot of